I loved Repo Man. It was amazing to me how your body language, how you changed it so much that you even looked like a, physically a different person. You looked shorter because you're always hunched over. Like when you first came out as Repo Man. I mean, eventually, you know who it is, but just the way you carried yourself. I mean, it was such a transformation in character. Talk to me about the Repo Man.
Well, when I went up and met with Vince, and I didn't want to leave the territory, and we were thinking of different gimmicks, and I told him. He says, "Well, what did you used to do before you?" And I said, "Well, I used to repo cars." And he said, "You repoed cars?" I said, "Yeah, why don't I be the Repo Man?" And he says, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "Well," I said, "Vince, here's really what I want to do. I want to finish up my career here, and I want to be a baby face." I said, "Why don't I put a mask on and kind of be like the Riddler and Batman or something?" And I said, "Just be the worst heel ever. Steal things from kids and go in and break into cars and just lie and cheat and do all that stuff and be a heel. Then eventually turn baby face, so then I can go do Make-A-Wish stuff." And I really wanted to do that kind of thing. And he says, "You know what? That sounds like a great thing." So I said, "Well, just give me about a month." I said, "I'm going to train hard. I'm going to diet." I said, "I'm going to drop 50 pounds. He says, "Well, how are you going to drop 50 pounds? I said, "I'll just train hard." I used to run a lot. I said, "I'll start running 3, 5, 6 miles a day." I said, "I'll do nothing but cardio, boom." So I ended up the first time I was 255 when I was a Repo Man. I was starved to death though. So anyways, they couldn't believe it. They said, "You are a different guy." And I said, "Yeah, I'll work different. I'll do everything different. I'll just, so that's kind of how it all started. And then I ended up working with all of the top guys. So my job was to put guys over, which I didn't mind doing that at all, because you ain't going to beat Randy Savage. You're not going to beat Ricky Steamboat. You're not, that just isn't
Right.
what that position's going to be. But you can have a hell of a match with them. You could screw them one time, they come back and beat you, and then on that brings them up a little bit. And that's kind of what it was. And I worked with Doug, and I worked with, all the top guys all over the country, Germany and Italy and, all over. So, but it was getting hard now, because after I worked with all these guys, I got beat by them all. Then I get wins with guys underneath on the card. But then it was getting to the point where the people weren't really booing me, hating me anymore. They were kind of liking me, but you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And working in the ring, when you don't have the response that you want, it makes it tough to work. And I went to Vince and I said, "Vince, it's time to turn me babyface." And he says, "Well, how are we going to do that?" And I says, "Well, let me go steal the belt from Ted DiBiase or something, and do something for the good guys. Be like a Robin Hood or something. And he says, "No, we're not going to do that." And I said, "Well, just getting until you go, hang in there, kid." So after about another 6 months, I said, "Vince, you got to turn me babyface. I'm pulling teeth out here. I can do all the stuff and everything, and then, now it's like I'm in between." And he says, "Yeah, I'm not going to change your babyface ever." So I said, "Well, Vince, I'm going to put my notice in then." So that's when I put my notice in. And then he said, "I'm really sorry to hear that." And I think he wanted to get rid of me then,
Right.
but he left it up to me, which I've always told him when it was me and him. I said, "I don't want to make any money unless I earn it." And when I went in for raises, I would tell him, "Vince, I earned this. I need to get paid more." So it was always honesty, and I wanted to get paid for my money. Well, I was no longer working for my money anymore. And that's what I told him. I said, "So I'm going to put my notice in." And then that was the end of it. But I really enjoyed working it, because it was kind of like, I was acting. I wasn't Barry Darsow. I wasn't Smash. I wasn't Crusher Crucian. None of those characters. Every character, I really made like I was that guy. I made like I was that Repo Man, sneaking into somebody's place, knocking the window out and stealing the car. I mean, that was what I really took pride in. And I think it came across, a lot of people go, "Oh, I hated that gimmick and everything." Well, it didn't matter if you hated it. I liked it. and I worked hard on doing what I was supposed to do, and I did it, you know? So that's kind of how I felt.
You were definitely all in. You're
Yes.
definitely all into the gimmick, 100%. I'm not asking you dollars and cents, but for the WWF, how does it, like, pay wise? If you're a mid card singles compared to a top tag team, is the pay comparable?
Um, no, when you were the top guy, you were in main event matches. So then they paid you more off of those matches because you were a draw.
Hmm.
The only thing when you're a tag, they had to split it between, you know, the four wrestlers, a manager or whatever. So you didn't get paid as much as a single in that spot, but you got paid more than the mid card single guy got.
Got it.
So, you know, when you got a sellout crowd in Madison Square Gardens, I mean, you made some pretty dang good money when you were one of the main events. But, you know, when you're Hulk, you make a lot of money
Mhm.
because Hulk was the guy who drew the money. I
Right.
mean, Hulk was Hulk, you know.
I told Barry, I'm Barry. Hi, Barry. I told Bill in every clip I post, I'm going to put 80s Wrestling Con on the bottom and information on the Demolition Fan Club. Talk to us about 35 years of Demolition.
Can you believe that?
Yeah.
35 years. You know, I'm 63 now. I started wrestling when I was 20 years old. The camp I was at was with the Road Warriors and Rick Rude and myself. We were the four guys in Eddie Sharkey's camp, and we beat the hell out of each other because Eddie Sharkey never smartened us up, and we knew not to kill each other, but I mean, we were hammering on each other. And when going through all of the stuff to get to the WWF and becoming partners with Bill, I mean, I had some great partners. You know, Ivan Koloff, you know, Nikita Koloff, they were great partners. Nikolai Volkov, unbelievable partner. Jim Neidhart and David Sierra, they were my partners down in Florida Championship Wrestling. So I mean, I had some incredible partners, but getting together with Bill and creating the Demolition like that, and that was over 35 years from today. It seems like sometimes it seems like it was yesterday. You know, and we're talking to you and you bring up things, it's like, God, yeah, that was pretty neat when I first walked in that locker room and, you know, I could see all these guys. I mean, it's phenomenal. And for, you know, you guys putting the fan club together for us, oh, Tommy Fierro, I mean, unbelievable. You know, very, very proud of that.
Yeah, Tommy loves you guys. And I'll say this to the fans, if you're ever going to any convention, any fan fest, you have a chance to meet Demolition, go meet them. You will not be disappointed.